Hey everyone, this is Kerbal Space Program, and this is a revisit to my space plane, the Phoenix 1. I've just installed FAR, the Ferram Aerospace Research mod, which redoes the aerodynamics for this game. I was sort of interested to see whether or not my previous design would work in the new mechanics. So these are going to be my attempts. I'm going to include all of the interesting crashes that I'm sure are bound to occur. I may, sort of cut them together to be a little more elegant. But either way, I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope I can actually get this thing to fly. Alright, and it looks like I have lost control of the vehicle. Definitely not going to be able to get this thing pointed straight. So it looks like we're heading towards a crash. Not exactly sure what happened there, other than at some point the vehicle became unresponsive, started falling, and I couldn't get it to pull up anymore. So I suppose we'll reset back to the runway and try again, see if maybe I can get some kind of a landing. I'm actually doing better than I expected, just not as good as I had hoped. And that's Crashdown. Everything was destroyed, and I'm quite sure the Kerbal died. So, let's reset. And take 2. Much the same failure. I suspect I'm having a problem with the center of lift and center of mass moving a bit too much during flight. I'm going to give it one more shot and just try and let it go, rather than, trying to be smart about the angle of attack and things like that. And we'll see if maybe I can get to space with that attempt. But of course, for your viewing pleasure, we will include the crash. As you can see, we're getting some nice aerodynamic effects as we careen towards the surface at nearly 400 meters per second to our inevitable doom. And that's inevitable doom. Oh well, try again. Alright, and there is our flight complete. Um, as you can see, FAR produced a significant improvement in our total range for this vehicle. I don't know if you remember before, we were getting about 2 million meters, and that was a particularly good run. This is a non-optimal flight. Got us nearly out to Minmus, the second moon of of the system. We could have potentially reached um, the moon with this vessel as is. I highly doubt we could have made it back because we were pretty low on fuel. But that said, we are pretty much set for a very long journey out. About 2.5 days for poor Jeb to be stuck in the cockpit of that tiny space plane. We do have a little bit of leftover liquid fuel, which is actually kind of what we want, so that we can, kick back up flight once we re-enter the atmosphere and sort of land somewhere. But it's going to be a little bit before we get there, so I'm going to go ahead and speed this up until we start re-entering, and once we get back in, hopefully I can then land this thing, because as it is, I was having a heck of a time controlling it as it was getting up to speed. As you saw in the previous two attempts, we basically started flipping out of control if I tried to pull up at all after a certain point. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up until we get re-entry again, and then we will see what happens from there. There we are, passing the moon. I don't think we're going to be in line to catch Minmus, but maybe. It's going to be a bit of a trip to get out there, so let's speed it up a touch more. Alright, you can see right there a tiny speck moving through the sky. I think that might be an abandoned stage from a previous attempt. Or perhaps that's Minmus. It's moving pretty fast for that. Do we get close enough? Oh, here we go. We're coming back in. Not what I was expecting. I don't know what that little object was. I suspect it was some previous stage from another attempt still out orbiting Carbon. I haven't cleaned up my local space yet because I thought it would be fun to sort of, leave the remains of my previous missions out there. So long as, of course, I didn't have to revert them. And it looks like poor Jeb is stuck on another exit trajectory from the planet. We didn't lose enough momentum to descend at this point, so we're going to let him do another pass, and hopefully in another couple of days he might get a chance to finally land. Nope, not this pass. You can generally tell whether or not you're going to actually get captured by the time to your periaps increasing as you approach it. It's pretty much a good indication that you are now on a descent course. So at this point, Jeb's going to be up for, looks like, another day at least. So let's get that going, and hopefully we'll get him recovered before too long. And looks like it's one more pass for Jeb. Well, this doesn't look good. The current trajectory, we may get a moon capture that will slingshot us outside of Kerbal. Oh, no, wait. We've descended enough that that's no longer a problem. But Jeb was in danger of being catapulted out of Kerbin orbit for a moment there, which would have been, I suppose, a victory for the space plane, but a loss for Jeb, as he would then be stranded in space. All right, now with all danger of a moon capture out of the picture, at this point we're pretty much just waiting for the orbit to decay enough to finally actually descend into the planet. Hopefully it won't be too many more passes. Either way, the mission's been running for about 9 days for poor Jeb. I hope he packed enough snacks. And once more. And another one for Jeb. This is definitely going to be one of his longer missions. I think the actual mission to Minmus that Jeb did was shorter than this, simply because we went there, we landed, we did some science, and we came straight back, rather than basically traveling a long enough distance to have gone there and back again at least 3 times. Alright, looks like we should have a capture this time. And we're spiraling out of control. Good to know. Okay, I don't think there's any way for me to get out of this dive in this direction, so we're going to go ahead and let it do its thing. Hopefully once we're in atmosphere we can flip this a little bit. I might try shifting some fuel around to see if maybe that will help me actually control the vehicle. Let's try shifting it forward to see if we can move the center of mass to a better place. Alright, well that was fun and exciting, but we've definitely run out of fuel. That said, we did pull out of what I was pretty sure was going to be a death dive. Um, we we re-entered so quickly we were basically falling and then flying backwards, which was cool. So at this point we're basically going to try and glide to a landing of some form. We're on a pretty good vector. I might try and pull up a little bit to see if I can reduce our speed of descent at the very end, but we no longer have rocket power or jet power to make any of this happen. So in the meantime, I suppose we'll just cruise in and see what happens. All right, and surprisingly, That's us coming to a fairly reasonable stop. This design is surprisingly flyable without any fuel in it. It is a very good glider, I suppose. Um, I don't believe I've ever made an unassisted glider landing before using the previous aerodynamics. I don't believe it was possible. You simply fell too quickly without power to push you forward. So that is definitely exciting. Um, that said, I think we're going to go ahead and let Jeb out so he can plant a flag. And all in all, I'd say it's a fairly promising start to using FAR for the remainder of my career mode missions. I will probably at some point attempt to fly some of my previous missions, at least partially, or at the very least try and exit Kerbal atmosphere and come back in with each vehicle to see if I really would have been able to do all the missions I have done so far using the correct mechanics. But for now, let's go ahead and get Jeb out, get to the ground, and unfortunately we don't have ladders for this design. Didn't have them at the time when it was built. But we're going to plant a flag and then recover. Alright, we'll take a surface sample since we're here, make an EVA report, and plant a flag. So let's see, we should name this site something to indicate that we're using FAR now. Alright, we're going to call it the Phoenix 1 Bravo site with the text, "We went far with FAR." A little cheesy, I know, but I thought it was appropriate. With that, we're going to go ahead and recover the vessel, and that should pretty much do it. Anyway, thanks for watching.